Everyone, hope I'm audible. Please excuse me, my throat is bad today. I'm having cough and sore throat. So I welcome you all once again for this webinar, a technical webinar on MDK V6. As I said last month, we covered on facts on how we can import Microvision project to VSCode, which is Microsoft Visual Source Code. And you saw what are the main files which has to be configured to build the project and to download the code to the board. Last time I didn't had the board, so I could not show the demonstration on the board. But today I have a board and we will go through the demonstration part as well. Thank you. Okay, so this is the it's not like agenda. Just to first quickly brush up what is MDK V6 for the attendees who have joined first time, because those who missed the first part one, at least they can correlate part one with part two, and we'll talk about how Artifactory, how the software assembler can be downloaded. So coming to MDK version 6. Just 5 minutes I'll take on this particular page. MDK V6 is similar to MDK V5. So many of the customers have the mindset that V6 is something different IDE or different workspace or environment, which is not correct. Though to some extent it's correct. But for those who have already acquainted using MDK V5 or Microvision workspace, so they will not be disappointed, because you can continue using Microvision 5, Keil Microvision workspace with V6 license. The only change when you're using Microvision with version 6 is the licensing method. The license here is based on UBL, user-based license. In comparison to the current licensing version, what we have, NodeBlock, which is a standalone version, or network license, which is a floating version. Excuse me. But in this V6, MDK version 6, same Microvision ID can be used to activate the UBL license. So thus UBL license can be either configured as cloud license server or local license server. Cloud license server means then your IT team will maintain the license and they will generate the license and give it to the user who is actually working on the project. So they'll have a control on for all the users using the license, for how long the user is using the license, or they're active, or they're just holding it just like without doing any work. So at that time they can revoke the license from the user. So all those master control will be there with the IT person or IT team. Whereas local license server is, we'll install the server on a centralized server, which will be leaning on specifically Linux. It doesn't work on Windows Server UBL. So it is implemented for only Linux. So there we will configure the license manager, and that in turn will allot the license to the users. Now coming to the features, why at least renamed it from version 5 to version 6. So first thing is we have VSCode extension, where many of the customers had given the feedback that Keil doesn't work on Linux, which is correct. It still works on Windows. But some customers wanted Keil to run on Linux. So ARM came up with the Keil Studio plugin on the VSCode, because Microsoft Visual Source Code works on all the OS like Linux, Mac, or Windows. That extension they added in VSCode. So VSCode is nothing but what I'm talking about. VSCode is Visual Source Code, and for that they have given the plugin Keil Studio, so which gives all the features similar to MDK Microvision. But Microvision has been developed for more than 2 decades or 3 decades. So getting all the features to VS Code at a single stretch is not possible. So they'll be slowly getting all those features to VSCode. So it has ARM debugger. So ARM debugger, you may ask, MDK also has an ARM debugger, correct? MDK has a debugger, it's not an ARM debugger. What does that mean? Suppose if you are having a target hardware which is based on Cortex-A or Cortex-R, which is not supported by Keil MDK, using this ARM debugger, you can still download the code to the board and you can debug the code. This ARM debugger is the one which is given as part of Development Studio, which is Eclipse-based IDE, or earlier it was DS5. Excuse me. CMSIS toolbox, you can see all the green blocks are the one which I'll be talking about. CMSIS toolbox is one where it will tell you how you can manage the CMSIS packs, everything, or build the project based on CMSIS from the command line. ARM virtual hardware, this was earlier there. You need an MDK professional license to use this. So there are a lot of virtual hardware implemented in the cloud, which customers can use it to test their code as a prototype, and then they can design their own hardware. Artifactory is till the date, if you want to download any software, any pack, you'll download from either Keil site or from developer.arm.com. Or there is a download hub on ARM site. This Artifactory will tell you how the other packages or components of this MDK V6 can be downloaded. Middleware, you have file system USB network. Unlike the current one also had a graphics display which was from Segar, and then we call it as embedded Windows. But I believe it is now given as open source, under open source license. So Keil is not including that in their middleware. Other than that, they continue to give file system, USB, network, and embed TLS. One more thing is FUSA, functional safety. This is the main feature which is now added, or you can take it as a key highlight or a key component of MDK V6. Before the release of MDK V6, any customer wants to use FUSA, functional safety, then customer has to purchase another license where two things. One is MDK professional license has to be compulsory, then purchase another license for specific to the core. For M0 core separate, M3 separate, M4 separate, M7 separate, like that. It was very charged heavily. But now from MDK V6 onwards, FUSA RTS is given as part of the license. You need not buy any separate license. FUSA RTS pack can be downloaded offline from the ARM site. Other than that, FUSA compiler is the safety certified ARM compiler, which comes as part of MDK Pro V6 earlier also. MDK Pro license and FUSA C library. These are all part of FUSA. Now coming to installation options. This was about Artifactory I was telling. From Keil.com, you can still download the demo version of MDK. Version 5.40 onwards is nothing but the V6. If anyone wants to use the V6 features in Microvision, you have to download MDK version 5.40 onwards, because the current is 5.41. We have Microvision editor. This demo version you want to download as a Microvision editor, Microvision debugger. It has pack manager, project manager, excuse me, ARM virtual hardware, fixed virtual platforms, ARM compiler. If you want to download the FUSA components, you need a valid MDK professional license. So if FUSA pack can be downloaded only from ARM download hub, because there only will be product download hub. There it will check your login details and see whether you have valid license. Then it will give you the link to download FUSA pack. Otherwise, it just tells you don't have the valid license. So FUSA pack, though it is free for download, but it is made as part of product download hub from ARM side. So it will check for the valid license. Then this is a marketplace, VSCode marketplace. If someone has used the VSCode already, it is similar to that. Only the extension pack will be added. So in that we have embedded debugger, device manager, project manager. And this extension does not install this compiler, debugger, FEPs. all has to be installed separately. Okay. So from the product download hub, you can download Keil MDK latest version, FISA RTS, function safety C library, C compiler, everything. Okay, so this was just to give a brief on what we discussed last month to show what are the components of MDK V6. Now we'll switch to VS Code. So VS Code, this is your Visual Source Code. You can download the extensions from here. Keil Studio extension, if you download a studio pack, you'll get all the CFC solution, ARM debugger, device manager. Okay, you can either install VS Code and search for it in the marketplace, or you can also download from the ARM site. It's up to your discretion. Okay, then if you want to convert the existing Microvision project, excuse me. You want to convert Microvision project, there are two criteria. Basically, one, you have to, when you're importing the project to VS Code, the Keil Microvision project should be developed with ARM compiler 6 only. Mandatory. This is a mandatory requirement. You will not be able to convert the project which is developed with ARM compiler 5. So any project you want to migrate to VS Code or convert that, should be compiler 6. It can be any version. Compiler 6.7, 6.18, on any version, but it should be compiler 6. Like here. So this is a project, this is a board, what I'll be using, NXP, LPC, 54144. This is your basic Microvision IDE, which many might have seen it or acquainted with. Okay. This project, sample project, what is given by the ARM should be specifically in compiler 6. If this project is developed for compiler 5, then I'll not be able to migrate that to VS Code. Okay. So this project now we will import it, which I've already imported it. Convert Microvision project. So I have given the same path for that board sample project. So as soon as you convert, main files which you have to look in for configuring this VS Code project, like the way you do in Keil. First is this VC package. So this VC package is the one which will be created by this converter. This will tell what are all the tools required to build this project, sample project. So you need a CMake of this version, ARM C-Line 6.22 I changed here. So CMSys toolbox or any specific, suppose instead of 6.22, I want this project to be built with 6.19 compiler. So what I'll do, I'll just go here. Okay, and here I'll select what is the CMSys toolbox version, what is a compiler. Suppose instead of 6.22, I want to do it 6.20. So as soon as I do it, it will change here. You can modify it there manually, or you can do it in the form of this preview. So this is about that. Second is, this also has C project ML and C solution ML. C solution is this particular project has 3 different targets: debug, debuggram, and it will be released. So debug means here I'll be loading the code to the flash and debugging it. So debuggram is I'll be loading the code to the RAM and debug it. Like that. So for each of this solution, you have a corresponding project. This ML file YML file, because it is ML file, it shows all the components which are required for that particular project. So it's a DFP and CMC's whatever is the version. This is the board, Keil board, that's the BSP. I'm using compile and middleware graphics because the board has graphics display. This middleware graphics is from Segar MN. And it also shows all the options of my C compiler, C++, SM, linker, all the options it shows for. So this project ML file is created for each of the C solution, each of the target in the C solution file. Okay. So anything on managing the solutions, like this is for building the project, and this is for debugging, this is for manage solution settings. This is basically your setting for which particular, for those particular targets in the project. What is the debug configuration and everything which will do it. You also have here manage software components. So this you can correlate to your runtime environment, the one which comes here. This runtime environment. It's the same thing, you can see it in here. Manage runtime environment. So you'll be specifying what is the board, CMSs, whatever packs I'm using, whatever is not using, I've just deselected. Want to specify any specific target. Software flags blinkly, you want to see what are all the components it's installed. You can see all those total 293 components. So this is the RTE runtime environment which you do like how you have in Microvision. So this you get it here. Manage. Okay. So after that we will build this project. So once you build the project, it shows build succeeded, no errors or anything. If any packs is missing, it will alert you and you can only type it yes, so it will install from the artifact by itself. Okay. So here, whenever it's converted, you'll see 3 different JSON files. Task JSON is specifically the settings which are required to build your project. Launch JSON is specifically for configuring your JTAG debug that is connected to your hardware or configuring of the hardware. What is the JTAG frequency? What is the device? What is the flash farming algorithm? Everything will be configured in launch.json. Okay. So if you see here, so serial number, because I've already connected the ULINK debug, ULINK Pro here. So that's the serial number it's showing. So here you can always, if you want to go to the debugger settings like the one you get it in Keil IDE, if you go to debug and select ULINK Pro settings, this is what you get. Here you have to select its ULINK Pro, ULINK Pro D, ULINK 2, CMSS Stack plus ST-Link. These are all the ones currently supported. So one thing to note here is JLink is not yet supported by this Keil Studio extension. Then here I'll specify what is the device I'm using. Okay, then I'll specify what is the AXF file. So that I can give from add file, debug, out blinky debug, and this is my AXF file. It's the same thing, just to show you. Then what is that like how you have in Keil under reset, pre-reset, normal, auto connect, halt on connect, all these settings you can set it up here. Reset after connect. Then run to main. So this is main means your program will stop at the main function. It will create a breakpoint. And what is the debug port? Whether you configure it as JTAG mode or serial wire debugger mode. What is the JTAG frequency? So all these settings you can do it in this JSON file, launch.json file. Okay. Next, I'll show you task also. Task you can see here. It's a flash, as I told. We have selected debugger flash. Get serial number. This is all device pack device name. You can see here. I have added already ULINK Pro. If you click here, in your case, it will show add device. So it will detect automatically. System will detect automatically and display whether it is ULINK Pro, ULINK 2, HT-Link. Just click that and add it. Okay. So now I go to CMSS, and if I give run, so it will ask me flash the device first. So it will tell flashing. So this will take some time to complete the flashing. In MDK microversion it is fast, but here it is a bit slow. Probably they will work on it. Any questions, please put in chat window. I'll come at the end of this demonstration and I'll try to answer those questions. Okay. General error on memory register accessing. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So once this is done, if you enter the debug, I'll just show you, though flash program did not proceed. So this is how it comes. Target has been reset, execution stopped in privileged thread mode, address whatever, semi-hosting, and This is your main function where PC is coming. So now we can do single step over all these features, like how you have in Microvision, putting a breakpoint, running to the breakpoint, single stepping. All those you can see it in the once you click on the debugger. So just you have to get used to this extension. So once you get used to this, probably you can use this VSCode easily. Okay. Because I gave run to main, so it is stopping at the main function. This is how the debugging can be done. It is also possible to invoke Keil Macrovision from this VS Code as well. So for that, in the launch file, again, you have to add some commands. Like here, if I go add configuration, launch. So launch what? You can tell you want to launch Keil IDE. There is a separate command for it. So you can also launch the Microvision debugger from VS Code. Suppose if VS Code you're not familiar with the debugging feature, you can always launch Microvision debugger from VS Code, and you can use all the features of Microvision debugger, which is very well implemented and supported for Cortex-M devices. Okay. Okay. So you can see variables, watch window, call stack, all these features like how you have it. Keil Microvision debugger. So let me see any questions. So you have questions here, you can please put it on the chat window. I'll be able to answer. We have some issues while invoking that license to debugger in another system. Such a license is running in your system or other system. You can please send me an email in other system. Okay. You are debugging through MDK Microvision or VSCode? Because I can show you also. I have. Excuse me. Sorry. I can show you here. See. This is my project. Just a second. Okay, I'm also using UBL license. You can see UBL license MDK professional. Okay, now I'll be able to debug and show you. Debug, select ULINK Pro settings. So you can see this is my serial number of the debugger. On the right side, you can see the hardware, connect options, reset options, flash download, programming algorithm. Okay, now I can do flash. It does it. And now this is your debugging. See, I'm able to enter the debugger. I'll be able to do single step everything. So UBL license works fine with the debugging. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay. So if you have any issues, send me an email to geeta@jesus.mspl. I'll look into it. Oh, okay. Sorry. I did share my screen. Sorry. Okay. I'll show you again. See, this is the UBL license I'm using. User-based license, Keil MDK Professional. So I can use this for debugging my code. I'm able to build now. I'll enter the debugger now. See, it stops at main function. I can do the reset single step. I can see the registers. I can also see which task is executing idle thread now. You can see here. You can see all the registers. We can see the memory variables, everything like how you can see with the normal licensing. Similarly, UBL will also work. If you have issues, let me know and send email to Geeta@GSASMSPL. I'll be able to figure it out. Sorry. Sachin, send email to my mail ID. I'll be able to help you out on adding new license, another license to the system. Depends on how many user license your company has bought. Based on that, only I'll be able to tell how you can activate the license on a different system. So please send an email to me. Okay, so I'll be able to support you. So any other questions from the team? Or any specific feature the team wants to see in VSCode or in Keil? Yes, Adarsh, it is there. MDK V6 trial version is nothing but the community edition. If you go to developeram.com, you can download that community edition, which is strictly for non-commercial use. You are not supposed to use that for commercial product development. It is strictly for non-commercial. Okay. But having said that, if you have already some project developed with compiler 5 or older version of Microvision, then you'll not be able to compile those projects. It's not possible because the community edition is nothing but the demo version without any code size limitation, but it doesn't support any projects developed with ARM compiler 5 or older versions of MDK. And anyone who is working on 8051 device or 80C166, which earlier Keil had a separate licenses, now customer has to buy MDK V6 only, because now legacy licenses for 8-bit and 16-bit is given as part of MDK V6. So that is the change also happened from October onwards. And if anyone wants perpetual license for 8051, we don't have. It is either 1 year or 3-year term license. Yes. Yes, Sachin. Your license is compatible to 8051. I believe only few customers in the attendees list have MDK V6. I know the customers who have already. So I know Sachin is from which company, and I can tell he has access to 8051 device. If he has access to 8051 license, along with 8051, he also have access to C166 16-bit processor, specifically used for automotive applications, Infineon devices. Okay. Yes, Sachin, it's compatible. Any other questions? You can always drop me an email, geeta@gsasmspl.com. I would be happy to help you out. Or if anyone wants to purchase the license MDK V6, term license or perpetual. Perpetual is still available till next June or July. You'll be able to support you with the license information. So I work as a director ARM tools here. So advantage of using VSCode is if at all you want to run Keil in Linux OS. The current Microvision Keil doesn't work on Linux OS or Mac OS. If you want to use the Keil projects or run the Keil in Linux or Mac OS, then you can go to VSCode. Otherwise, if you are happy to continue to use with the Windows only, then you can continue using Microvision. Because Microvision is a user-friendly GUI and it is more than 2 decades in the market. And many of the customers know about Microvision. It is based on the requirement, customer interest, customer requirement. Yes, I showed you, right? My Keil MDK, Microvision has the same UBL license and VSCode also has the same UBL license. It's the same. You're Vivek from which company? Oh, BHL, right. BHL Ranipet, right? Yes, license is common to both, but your team has MDK professional node lock license, which every year you renew the support. Yeah, I know that. Looking at your mail ID. That license is different from the V6 license. That license is still V5 license you can consider. V6 is a separate license you have to buy. But using that license, you can still use the features of V6. If you want to know how, you have to download version 5.40 to get access to FUSA as well. You can send an email to me, Vivek. keith@gsmspl.com. I'll be able to support you with that. Or you can buy suppose the existing license cannot be used as VSCode. You have professional MDK professional node lock license, which is the legacy license you can tell. That doesn't work with VS Code, but using that license, you can still access the V6 components and features. Like FUSA, ARM debugger, all those features can be accessed with your existing license because your existing license is compatible to 5.40 and 5.41 as well. But if you want the license to work on VS Code, then you have to buy the new license of MDK V6. Hope I'm clear. So any of the team, if they would not ask the questions, please shoot out an email to geeta@gsmspl. I'll be happy to support you. Every month I do technical webinars, though my job is I do both support and sales, but basically I drive the business in India. My webinar will not have anything on the product sales or something. It will be product updates and technical features of ARM software solutions. If anyone has any suggestion for me on the topic, any specific content or a topic you want me to cover, please feel free to send an email to me. I'll be happy to take up the topic next month. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. Thanks for making for this webinar. Thank you once again.